Welcome to the O Studio podcast, where we delve into the art of feeling better. My name is Matty Lovell, and O Studio is a recovery and wellbeing franchise that's here to help you relax, recover, and improve. Today, we're joined by Owen Franks, from a boy with big dreams at Christchurch Boys High to becoming one of the most respected props in world rugby. Owen's career is built on mindset, discipline, and an unwavering standard of professionalism. In this episode, we explore the drive that took him to 100 All Black tests and 2 World Cup wins with the All Blacks, how he handled setbacks, the role family has played in shaping his life, and what he's carrying forward now beyond rugby. Let's jump in.
Owen Franks, welcome to the O Studio podcast.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Good to be here. Good to catch up.
I feel like it's like half Owen sitting in front of me here, you know, like it's like
no, half the size now. I was saying before, you know, it's nice to not be overweight. Eating half as much, and it's the result.
Because if you had never got into rugby, never got into training, never got into any of that, and you just, you know, grew normally, what do you think you'd be like? What do you think you'd sit around?
Jeez, probably without weights. That's
exactly. You know, like what most people would get.
Yeah, probably 90 kilo, 85.
Yeah.
I was never huge. So I got a solid frame, but certainly packed a lot on, as you can remember.
What did you get to?
126 was the heaviest.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I got injured, would have been 2017 when you were back at the Crusaders. Did my Achilles, and I got working again with a bodybuilder who originally started training me when I was 14, and we did a really tough pre-season, and got up to 126.
That wasn't Ed? No.
Nah, that was Warren Thin. Yeah, he's passed away now, but that was awesome. Yeah.
I actually looked at your Instagram preparing for this, and I saw a video of you training, but I thought you were filming someone else. I was like, who's he? Because you had like a beanie and stuff on from behind, and it was just like, so who's he video? And then you turned around, and I was like, oh my god, it's you. And I've never met you before, but like, you even just look like you look great. Like you must be feeling good.
No, I do feel much better. You know, people always ask you how you feeling post rugby. Yeah, I think expecting you to be a bit broken, but I feel much better. Can get up in the morning and go for a run, and all the stuff I was looking forward to doing. You know, because from the age of 14, you know, when we were at school, it was always about putting on weight and getting bigger, and so I was always looking forward to the day where I could go reverse and eat less and just train more lifestyle.
Yeah, freedom.
Totally. And look, we're really keen to jump into a lot of stuff today, but it would be cool, I guess, to start back sort of with that 14-year-old. Like, was rugby always the dream for you?
I think so. Yeah, just most Kiwi kids or boys, you know, you grow up watching it in the lounge room, the All Blacks tests, and I don't know. It's strange. I think I always had a vision from a young age that it was in my destiny. I suppose it never seemed out of reach, even though I had no right really to think that way. You know, I wasn't like a superstar youngster or anything like that. But I certainly always had the dream, had the vision of getting there, and I suppose things just fell into place with working hard and, you know, lucky. Good brother who I could follow, dad who pushed me along the way, so and things just worked out.
Yeah, because I think you're right. Like there's probably maybe it's a bit different now. There's so many. Most young kids, you know, you go to any sports field on a Saturday morning, and you ask what they want to do, and everyone wants to be an All Black, right? But then you fast forward, and you know the career you've had and the results you've had, and how successful you've been in that endeavour really would set you apart there. Like, what are some of those things you think that's made you different to everyone else that wants to be successful?
I think the vision for a start. You know, like I can still remember daydreaming. You know, like, you know, what would it feel like to pull on the socks and run out into the field? So I think I'd seen it so many times in my head, and was so desperate for it that it never seemed too far out of reach. But then obviously I did have a pretty hard work ethic to get there. Like I was pretty almost desperate, you know, the way I would train, and like I said, you know, at some point you have the right people around you, but my dad, he pushed me along, but there was never pressure. guided me in the right direction. Or, you know, we probably need to do this sort of training, and you're a bit small, so you got to work hard to be bigger and stronger. You know, even setbacks, it was never, you know, there's always a positive spin on things from my mum and dad. Good support. And then, you know, I've got my brother who's 3-4 years older, who was, you know, carving the path, so to speak. And I just thought if I can follow him, you know, and be half as good, then at least, you know, at the start it was like, well, you know, I might get to a solid level. Might be a really good club rugby player. And then started training, and it ended up becoming, well, you know, maybe I can be better, and started pushing myself really hard, you know, when I saw him getting success. But, you know, there's lots of things that fall into place. You know, I went to a good school where I met Timmy, Boys High, and, you know, we're part of a pretty special group, I suppose. You know, I think it goes in cycles, doesn't it, of talent and people around. So you're surrounded by really good players and people that are pushing each other hard.
Yeah.
And,
like
yeah.
I honestly, I find myself speaking about you a heap on podcast, genuinely. And because I remember when we first met, we were 15, like year 11 high school. And I can honestly vividly remember it, like meeting you out sort of out the back, just on the edge of the field. And I shook your hand, and I remember you saying to me, "Did you play rugby?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I play rugby." You know, like, what position do you play? And I was like, "Oh, I play sort of in the midfield, 10 or in the midfield." I was like, "What position do you play?" And I vividly remember you saying, "I play hooker prop." And I remember thinking to myself, honestly, this is no lie, I was like, he can't be a hooker prop. Because I was a little bit bigger at the time then too, and I was bigger than you. Like I reckon I would have had maybe a kilo on you when we first met, you know, like I remember thinking, he can't be a hooker prop. And I just remember just watching you over the course of that year. And I honestly remember too a little bit, I reckon people used to sort of like take the mickey a little bit, you know, like Tuna Boy, you know, he's got your thing, you know what I mean? But I just remember watching and just thinking like, and you're right, like you say that you weren't naturally born, like you were just making all the teams. Like you may have been in the 16Bs, maybe, you know, at the time, you know. And there was guys that were, you know, looking to try and be in the first 15. And I just remember and just watching you for a long period of time, just like so diligent with everything that you were doing. But do you remember that? Do you remember those sort of times? What was that like with people? You were obviously wanting to be a certain way, and then you've got people around you almost like taking the mickey a little bit.
No, I was all right. I do remember that. Yeah, because you just come to school, new kid, but, you know, pretty big reputation of being really good at rugby, but you're also really, just like you are now, personable person, you know, they have time for everyone. No, I was always fine with it, you know. I think because my dad had us out training from a young age, you know, it was always outside of the norm, you know, going for a run while other kids are playing, and so I always had a pretty thick skin. You know, almost I saw it as a bit of a badge of honour when people are making fun of me if I'm training or spending my whole lunchtime eating. It never really bothered me being outside the crowd. Yeah. And then I quite enjoyed it. You know, 6, 7 form, I'm in the first 15 and starting to get results, and then you know, people are starting to respect you. I always kind of enjoyed earning that respect, and
It's that self-belief piece, isn't it? It's the understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, and that sort of confidence is so impressive at that age, though, isn't it?
I reckon that stops a lot of people, though. You know, like you had the thick skin, you said, like to get through that first bit. Like I wonder just how many kids that stops, just don't have that. You know, like, you know, it turns when you start getting results, but there's that period there when you're probably working really hard, but in the 16Bs, you know, and it's probably
it's a shame, isn't it? Because I think I'm an optimist, you know. I see so much potential in people, and when they hold themselves back because they're too scared to get out of the circle or, you know, do something a bit different to get ahead, it's a shame.
Yeah, I think that's going to be like a real common theme through today. It's like being prepared to challenge and do things differently, and being like confident in your own skin, thick skin. But like, it wasn't just the training side of it. Because I don't know if I ever saw you without a chili bin next year, you know, with with food or training or like having passes or doing something around getting better. But it was like you were the first person that I saw too that it wasn't just the sort of physical side of the game, you know, that you were thinking about. Like, do you remember the poster you had on your wall, like Le Beast?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the most feared prop in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what the hell at that age?
Yeah.
Seeing like a picture, Le Beast, the most feared prop in the world at 16, and I was like, I can just remember thinking to myself, how does this work? How does this compute? You know, like, so you weren't just looking at that. Like, where did that come from?
I don't know. I used to draw a lot. Of pictures. I don't know. I was very, like I said, I would daydream a lot, and but I could feel it. I'd get tingles down the spine. I could imagine myself playing or what I wanted to be, and so it was almost real in a sense. I just had to do the work in between to make it a reality. But yeah, always have goals on the wall, that sort of thing. It was more almost in a sense just convincing myself that I could do that.
So you had like because once again, like from where you, and then like 4 years later or something, you're in All Black, and you were literally the most feared prop in the world. You know what I mean? So when you step back, for someone like myself, seeing what you were, and then what I could see you doing every single day, mentally, physically, and then achieving something. Like I do talk about you all the time, because what that tells me is you can do anything. If you do it right, you really can.
Yeah, I think just guidance and mentorship really important. I'm just really lucky. My dad's the way he was, but it could be anything. Family, friend, or just someone who wants the best for you and can guide you in the right direction, and give you that belief that you can do something. Because I remember out of school. What was it, 2 years out of school, my first Crusaders contract, and I was talking to my dad before the season started, and he's like, let's talk about your goals for the year. And I said, hopefully a couple of starts for the Crusaders, and junior All Blacks. I thought that was pushing it out. I was almost a bit nervous to say it. And he's like, okay, and he was thinking about it. He's like, I think you're selling yourself short there. You're only an injury to being the starter. If you get that opportunity and you play a handful of really good games, you could be an All Black. Okay. But that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Of all people, my brother got injured.
Yeah.
We went to South Africa. I played well over there.
Yeah, I remember it.
And then started, and then I was in the All Blacks camp.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a surprise to me when I was there. I was like, okay, this is part of the plan, and was able to take that opportunity.
I reckon on that tour, I saw your book in the pre-game sitting in your locker, and it said, put them in the cemetery, not the hospital.
That stuff worked for me. It was, I had to get myself into a certain mindset and, really aggressive mind frame. I loved, I love American football, so I watch a lot of that stuff where they talk a lot of shit, and, they live that whole bravado thing.
Yeah.
Later in my career, I learned I don't have to write all that stuff. It's naturally who I am when I step onto the field. But back then, I thought I really had to, put it into words. And
It's like even just listening to this, you speak like this. I think this is a catalyst for things that people don't hear. Like I'm thinking of like young athletes now, and there was a question I'm thinking of yesterday, and one of the boys answered like this. It's that if you don't have people in your support circles speaking in a way that sort of values just that real nuts and bolts of the process, that real basic stuff that has a big aspiration, a lot of people move through life not ever having people around them like that. So I think it does sort of stand out a lot, and it podcasts like this or hearing people share that kind of wisdom is so important for that reason, because I think people just assume success or building big body mass or all of those types of dreams that people reach just come off the back of luck. But it's action. It's you taking actions from the age of 14, but someone there actually encouraging and valuing, building that self-belief around it. That's actually quite unique as well. So it's so awesome to hear that your dad was such a positive part of that, and your brother, and obviously you then doing the work.
Oh, really lucky, because we had friends who could say, and I remember finishing a game, and he was telling me what his old man said to him after, because he didn't play well. You're shit, and you're this and that. And I just couldn't fathom that. Couldn't believe it. You're destroying a kid's confidence at that age because they didn't. When I was the opposite. I wouldn't have been as good as him, but I had. No, you're doing well. Maybe we could. The only time I got told off was, makes me laugh, was for walking,
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't even a telling off. It was like, hey, you're walking a bit too much today. That's not really your game. You're a worker, Just
It's so good.
He's the man. He is Ken Franks.
And it was that sort of tone, It wasn't like, hey, you fucking...
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It's such an interesting mindset. Like, you're a worker, like that's the phrase, and you actually, when you were talking there, it reminds me a lot of when we chatted with Tom Walsh. Do you remember him? And he's got a tattoo on his foot. Do you remember what it was? FTA.
FTA.
And I was like, what's your tattoo mean? And he's like, fuck them all. And I was like, and he's the nicest guy. And I was like, and I was like, what? And he's like, and it came from his mentor. And obviously his mentor didn't say that to him, but he was talking to him and he was like, someone has to be world champ. Like, why not you? And that was his meant, like that question to him just flicked the switch. And he's right. Like, why not me? Fuck them all. I can do it, and like, it's listening you talk just then, it's kind of like your dad kind of gave you the same message, like it could be you, like it is you, like you just need to do the work to uncover it. It felt like more you were uncovering what you were already meant to be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I had a really, I'm sure you're the same, you meet people at the right time of your life, if you're open to it. Because then I left school, went to Linwood, where I met Scott Hansen, who was club RDO at the moment, current All Black coach, assistant coach, and he was the same sort of mould. He drove me really hard. I think one of our first catch-ups, we walked around the Linwood club rooms and looked at the All Black pictures on the wall, and he said, what's your one going to say? And so he was another guy who, mentor, almost family now, really, or he is family, and but drove me really hard with my skill work and to develop that mindset to get to the next level. So I just had a good knack of meeting people at the right time. Like I mentioned before, Warrington, Trainer, when I was 14, and then another guy, Lee Atchell. There's been so many people who I've met just at the right time to kick me on or help in some sort of way.
I've got zero doubt in my mind that they were massively helpful for you, genuinely. But there's thousands of other people that met those same people, and didn't achieve and had the same opportunity to probably too. And I'm not trying to minimise that in any way, but there's having a strong vision, having a good support around you, having real belief. That's one thing. The thing that I think has just set you apart, and I find it really just interesting to see because it's not normal. It's just like it's a real sense of like patience and dedication and discipline and like happy to work through the monotony because you can see how it all sort of fits together according to something. Like I feel like so many people are impatient. They want quicker results, and like the whole world feeds into that sort of instant gratification. Like you seem to like just naturally, maybe it's not naturally, you've developed it, but the ability to have like the opposite approach, which is just, and it sounds like it's come from your old man, from a young age. Yeah.
No, I think so.
Yeah. Sorry, go, Maddie.
I was just going to say, like, I agree with Tim. I was going to say the same thing that, I think those you say I met people at the right time, but they saw something in you as well, I think. I'm sure that they, like, if I met them, they wouldn't be the same sort of thing. They probably saw something in you. And when we were sort of researching for this, like, there were so many players and coaches that described you as the most professional player or team member they'd ever come up with. And all those things I think Tim's talking about probably fall under that sort of umbrella. And, to be considered to have that sort of title in, what was, the world's most successful team and the most dominant period they've ever sort of existed. Like, what do you think it is what did you do or not do that sort of gave you that title? Because I think, like, Tim's told me some of the stuff, and it's hard to sort of, it's amazing, really. Like, do you want to share some of the things that, I guess, helped give you that title of, the most professional player?
Aside from the things we've already spoken about, a lot does come from my dad, because he told me early, you got to treat, if you become a professional, you got to treat yourself as a business, and that means investing in yourself. And how can you make your stock better, raise your value and all that sort of thing. But I don't know. I suppose I just care a lot about performing well. Probably not the team guy in the most traditional sense. Pretty reclusive person. Not a huge. I'm not going to be the guy at the life of the party, but I wanted to do everything I could to perform well and not let my teammates down. And it wasn't always there. I think like when I first started, I trained hard and did most things well, but I was still pretty inconsistent, I thought, in my training habits and performance, really. And what helped me earlier on was I would jot down, in my book what I wanted to get out of that training, what I was going to work on, what I wanted to hit during the week to get a good performance. So I started becoming good at tracking my training week. I enjoyed getting to Friday night, looking back through my book, and Monday through to Friday I've ticked off my key things to performance. The mental side of the game, a night before the game I'll do visualization, all that sort of thing. So it became very consistent. It was a clear process for me to get from Sunday through to Saturday and get a good performance. Yeah.
And diet's a massive part of that, right, for you as well?
Diet, yeah. It was a funny one, because always it was a bit embarrassing. People, your diet's really good in that, because I was bigger. Like my diet was good, but I was overeating. I had to be a bit overweight to play my position. But so that's why I cared so much about it, because if I'm overeating, I don't want to be overeating garbage. Because that's going to be doing horrible stuff to your insides and the rest of it. So if I'm going to overeat, I've got to overeat good food.
Yeah. I think the way you put that to me there was good. Like, one of the most professional teams in the world, most successful teams in the world, and the most professional player. I've talked to so many guys that all say the same thing. And so like that's why it's interesting to sort of get into, is like, what is the detail here around, training, diet, nutrition. The mindset stuff is the area I think that you were early and ahead of a lot of people too. Like, thinking 15 years ago you were doing like big amounts of visualization prior to a game, and training that muscle. Like, once again, I always just watched you and I could see that you were thinking differently, and it's not normal. And you talk about investing in yourself. Like, I remember that you'd be in your off season, you'd be going up to the States or bringing trainers in from overseas, or looking at NFL teams or NBA teams. It's just like you're always trying to find a way to get better, and it's just like that's not what I saw in professional rugby. It's just not. I remember actually talking to Richie Moe. So you jump in to see Soph, and he obviously was training with you before he was a professional rugby player, because his partner is your wife's sister. Yeah. And so, like, his view of it was like he thought everyone was going to be like you coming into the Crusaders. He was like, and then he got into the Crusaders, like, oh my God, okay, this is not normal. Like, he is different, It's just, sorry.
I was just going to say, the thing that jumps out the most to me, particularly with like that environment when younger athletes enter, is the things you're talking about are really simple things. They're basic, simple foundations of professionalism, but it's the consistency to do those things simply that is the hardest bit. And you used a word before that I think is so relevant. It's that monotony. It's like, you weren't looking at just windows of time where you could be consistent. You were just looking at being consistent continually. And I think that's such a unique trait, is that anyone can kind of do, make the right choices for windows of time, but to make them for the majority of your time for long periods.
Do you reckon that trait is developable? If that's even a word.
I think even things like this, like, I can't wait to send this podcast to a few of the boys, because I think it is one of those ones, until you hear somebody speak with pride about it, and then they understand that that's steeped in the rewards that they, the heights that they eventually meet, it seems, I don't think you can kind of grasp the concept.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that's probably the biggest one for me. Is there was one kid that answered a question yesterday, one of the young development camp guys asked around club rugby and like how you avoid sort of caudies, or how do you not get sucked into that kind of sort of forfeiting your recovery to get on the can sort of, and one of the boys answered, and I was just like, far out, that's a great answer. And it is just like, you make a choice. Like, you go into it with a conscious choice of, at the moment, you know, a group of these guys aren't aspiring to be a professional rugby player. I am. And so I'm on the sparkling water, you know. It's like, and it's as simple as that. That's still really hard to make as an 18, 19-year-old, I'm sure. But it is, like, that is, the simple answer is that. And you can kind of see in the room, people are like, oh, it can't be that easy, but it is.
It's tough to, like, but if you can get used to saying no to a group of people, because it's pretty hard in that moment. You don't want to be singled out. You don't want to be made fun of.
Yeah.
But they'll respect you in the long run.
Yeah.
They'll give you some shit, and you just take it on the chin. But if they see that you're willing to, make sacrifices, they'll respect you more in the long run. I've always found. But so many people fall short, like, oh, fuck, I'll just have one or two.
Yeah.
Just delayed gratification is all it is. It's like sacrificing what you want for what you actually want. Yeah. You know, like, I'm sure a beer would look bloody tasty a lot of times, you know, on a Friday night or a Saturday, whatever it was, you know. Yeah. But I'm sure it's going, hey, I want that, but I want something else more.
Yeah, and then reminding yourself of that in those moments. I've got a question here that sort of sits well. Did you feel a pressure or loneliness when you were holding yourself to those levels?
Yeah, there is a pressure there, because it can become, the flip side is you say no to everything, and you might miss the odd opportunity to then, have some fun. And I became so good at saying no, not going to do it. My first answer would always be no to maybe, it might even be a barbecue with friends. Hey, you want a beer? And I'm like battling with myself, like, fuck, can I have one? You know, it's like a, so there's the other side of it too. You know, there are times where you can let the hair down a little bit, but would I change it? I don't know. I think it had to be that way for me to get success. That kind of a little bit extreme. But there are times where I thought, fuck, maybe I could have just, had a beer and been a part of the group there. But I think it is a habit that has to be trained in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, and that's what I was sort of saying before. It's like, is it a trait that's in people or not, or is it something that can be developed? I think what you're saying is like, maybe it's naturally there a little bit, but it's something that you have to keep on training and developing, and that's the thing that sets you apart, is that you had that ability, and so to get to where you got to, you sort of had to have that mindset around it. And yes, like, success is like, it's in anything is never smooth and easy, and everything's, there's always going to be compromise, there's always going to be sacrifice, and like, so if little bits of sacrifice like that are necessary to achieve what you can achieve, and as you say, it's different. I suppose the one area for me here, which I think highlights this the most from what I've seen and heard, is after the 2011. It was 2011 World Cup final. The story is that you were in the gym the next morning, and so like, you think about it, for anyone else, listening, it's like the World Cup is the absolute pinnacle of a team career, and so as an individual, you'd be training, your whole training plan would be like geared towards being able to perform at your top level for this one game, and you win this one game in New Zealand, the whole country comes to a stand and then celebration, and to think that you were in the gym the next morning. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true, because Ben, he was part of that as well. He didn't play in that game, and I think he wanted to get down there to get a bit of frustration out and train. And it wasn't so much, it's been embellished a little bit. It wasn't like I was down there the next morning thinking, fuck, okay, pre-season time now. It was just habit, like any other day I would have been in the gym or doing something active. And I was never, like, I celebrated that night and had a few beers and stuff, but I'm never the guy who's going to be drinking into the next day. Yeah. Because I just hated hangovers and, coming out of that trough of feeling like shit. Yeah. So that was all it was, really, just going on a lift with my brother. That's it.
I love it, but I love it though, man.
Yeah. The gym was empty that morning.
Yeah, it was down at Les Mills, yeah. There's always people down Les Mills in the morning.
But even that, like, even the fact that it was like actually there was part of that. It was like your brother a little bit in that too. That just makes it even
It's
cooler.
way cooler.
I don't know. It's just I love it.
Did you like this is just out of pure personal curiosity, like were there times where you'd just be like, oh hey, I'll have a beer tonight and grab a Big Mac on the way home, like, or was it just like was it just a hard line that, you know, like you're a human being as well, like is that what it takes, that there literally is no sort of time?
Oh no, definitely, yeah, probably more the food side of things. Like I've never been a big drinker. I'd have the odd whiskey or something, but after a game to relax and help try fall asleep, although that's not smart. I don't know that anymore. So, but no, I would. Go grab a burger or a treat like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, okay. It wasn't that regimented.
We actually had Matt Bateman in here last week actually,
yeah, awesome.
and he was he said that you were coming in, and he said that he went away with you once and you went out for dinner. And he said that you ordered like 2 meals together, like 2 steak and potatoes, and salad. They both came with salad, and you scraped all the salad onto one plate, and then all the meat and potatoes onto the other plate, and then gave the salad back to the waitress.
It's kind of the opposite.
Into the salads. I actually was thinking of my first memory of you, and there's similar ones, but it was kind of around the joy element of like enjoying. Not even the graft, I suppose, and it was Tim and I were living in apartments next door to each other. It would have been first NPC year or something for you, and you'd had your ear drained for the first time, and it was near the Acro Salmon place, and I just remember, I just remember just like the smile on your face, explaining, like saying that you'd had your ear drained, and I was just thinking that is like one of those traumatizing things for a lot of people, most human beings. But I think you obviously love the graft. And I think that's the other thing. Lots of people don't like hard or don't like, hurt or sore or graft, I suppose. But it seems that you've always managed to find a real joy in that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I think, when you've played a good game of rugby and you wake up the next morning and you're sore and stiff, it's like I did enjoy that.
I missed that.
Yeah, that was an awesome feeling, You're walking around limping a bit and you're like, fuck, that was wicked. Put in a good effort, played well.
Yeah.
No, I think you have to enjoy that, because rugby it is a brutal game, and I think you do have to enjoy that little bit of suffering to get the most out of yourself. It's a tough gig when you see guys. You see some professionals who have just landed there. They're not. I don't think they're that passionate about it, and they're just hanging on. They're injured all the time, or they're not getting picked, and you can see it's not enjoyable for them.
Yeah.
So,
What about on the sort of because we talked a lot about diet and a lot about sort of performance, like physical stuff, what you're doing around that. What about the recovery side of it? It's obviously something that you would have changed a lot through your career. You touched on some of them. Like sleep was something. I remember you sending me a podcast before I was even thinking about sleep. It was like Matt Walker on sleep, and then I remember hearing that you had like negotiated into your All Black contracts that you had your own room on tours so that you could sleep. And you were talking about like lung capacity and how for every hour that you get of less quality, there was going to be less impact on stuff. And once again, I just remember it was just so beyond what I'd sort of seen, but. In that sort of recovery space, like what worked well for you in that for performance?
Simple stuff, really. It started when I was younger, the active recovery. So finish a game of rugby, the next morning we'd go for a light jog, sauna, pool, all that stuff that sort of comes in and out of fashion, but I think it's really been there for hundreds of, probably thousands of years. Cold water immersion. Remember Warren telling me, just go to the public pool and just sit in there for half an hour, just the compression on your body, stretching, massage. I don't think those things are that complex, just listen to your body and common sense more than anything.
What about injuries? I mean, your first game, was it your first run on for Canterbury?
Yeah.
Dislocated shoulder, elbow?
Yeah. Same again. Lucky with my dad, he'd ring me up. He would research the injury I've had, the doctor's probably going to tell you this. Or, I think we'll be able to get you back in half the amount of time, and this is the rehab you got to do. So he's done the research for me.
What
so
a
just
legend
Is your dad available for anyone else? Then?
Yeah.
Just the mindset of don't get hung up on what they say. You can always push back a bit further, or do something to, he'd say stuff too, like, we heal quicker than other people.
Just, but then that mindset you'd probably do, because there's that sense of belief.
We should get him on actually at some stage. But I remember he came in 2017, 18, I think it was, and the stuff he was doing then as well was the stuff I'd never seen. So like what he was getting the team to do is, so while we were lifting, we had to like keep our peripheral vision on. So it was all around sort of like when you get into something in a hard environment or it's tough, where you're physically straining, your peripheral vision usually narrows, and so then you see less, so you communicate less. So he was getting us for every lifting session, we had to like actively keep our peripherals on, and then after every lift, we'd have to go up and mark on this little board like how accurate we think we did in terms of technique, in terms of mindset, in terms of vision, in terms of breathing. And so for every single set, we had to like mark on the board where it was, and at the end of the session you'd have like 30 guys where they've got their initials on this sort of target board on how accurate they were on what they were meant to be doing. And like one thing, I could talk for hours about your dad too, on just on the stuff that I've heard and I've seen and I've experienced. But it's like, I don't know, the thing I think I find, because what I love is performance. I love performance in anything. Like, how can you make something better? How does something, and I'd never seen it like I'd seen it in rugby with you, and obviously seeing it come through your old man too. It's I don't know. Yeah,
it's the devil in the detail, but also the innovation to constantly be curious about where and what, and it's that there's a lot of people that are just like, this is how we're doing it, this is the answer, this is what you're going to be doing, like this is your limits, these are but those, not having those perimeters because you've got so much curiosity, that's massively innovative, isn't it?
Are you the same out now that you're not playing? Are you the same with other stuff?
Yeah, I try to be. I talked about earlier, moved into coaching now with the Japan team, coaching the scrum and driving the front rows during the week. But yeah, I do. I always questioning myself and what can land better for the guys. Is that the right way to do it? And, I want to give them the best I can, or the best possible edge to perform, really. I find that really gratifying now, being on the other side, being on over the other side where it's not all about me, but it's about how can I help these guys get the best out of themselves and perform well as a unit.
What about outside of rugby? Like how does that mindset sort of transfer into normal life? Into like, obviously you're still training a lot. Like is your diet still as on as it was? Like as your partner now, like husband, does that mindset sort of transfer across every aspect of your life?
Yeah, I think it helps in a lot of things. Yeah, well, a lot of those things, they become habit. So training will never. Like, I love training. I look forward to waking up in the morning. Like, went for a run this morning with the boys. Like, I'm at night, like last night, I'm thinking about what sort of run we're going to do and what I'm going to say to the kids to push them.
So good.
I do enjoy it, and or weights and things like that. But I think it all helps. It's been good retiring now from rugby, where it's not all about you, and because it can be a little bit selfish. You're always worrying about your performance, or should I be doing this and that. So I'm really enjoying. Probably giving a better version of myself to Em and the boys, which is nice. But no, it all helps. All this stuff around resilience, getting through injuries, it all helps. The challenges that you come across, I think.
But if you think, because obviously your dad had a massive impact on the way you did things. Like, what do you take from that? For you being a dad now, you say you went for a run with the boys this morning. Like, what are those conversations? You don't have to say the conversations, obviously, but what does that look like for you now? To like, because it sounds like there's a lot from the surface level. It seems like he created a lot of pressure, whereas what we're hearing today is actually it was a huge amount of support and done in a really tactful way. Like, what does it look like for you now?
It's a battle, because it's easy sometimes to, you think you know what's best for your boys, or you can see what they're good at, so you try to push them along, but they're their own people. But I do try to be really, like when we're running this morning, how can I push them along without forcing them or barking at them? Come on, a bit more effort there, or hey, I'm coming behind you. Push it along, as opposed to, and how can I, for me the ultimate will be when I wake up and they're saying, hey, let's go for a run. But as at the moment, it's like I have to give them some warning, night before, hey, we're going to run tomorrow morning, make sure you're ready and blah, blah, blah. And they're pretty good now. Yeah. I don't often get too much pushback. So.
And they love it?
No, they do. They love it when we're done, They work hard. I think they're starting to enjoy we finish, and you can see that buzz, when they've done something hard.
Yeah.
It's a... sometimes I have to check myself a little bit. It can get a bit too. Got to realise they're 10 and 8. I suppose at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think that comment though, I think is gold, which is like they love it when they're done. And it's like, because it's really easy as a parent when you're trying to encourage your kids to make healthy decisions. Physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, food.
Yeah.
Like they love it when they're done. If that's truth, if that's what it is, then you've got to be able to like help create, you've got to be able to push a little bit, to get them up in the morning when they don't really want to get up and go off to something, but that when you've seen them, what they're like when they're after it, so it's what when they're done is probably a good
you said something
way to look at it.
Before we started recording that I think fits into this, and it was like, but making sure they don't hate it while they're doing it. Because no one no one loves hard stuff, but you want this to be driven by them eventually. So I think you've got that the bit that lots of parents and lots of people, coaches, I think miss, is there still has to be elements of joy in the hard. It's that for them. I'm thinking of this for like, if I was a kid and you and my dad, like, that's such cool time as well, and you're role modelling that you enjoy it, and you're investing in them with time. You're not just like get out of bed and go for a run by yourselves, and you did too. So like, there's no hard edges there. That is positive pressure, and I think that's what people often like. Pressure can be, it should be a really positive thing, and I think like obviously when you meet that pressure with the care and the time and the relationship that you're building with them, the role modelling. It's just like a great balance. And like you said, I think as parents we don't always get that right, but the fact that you're even thinking about it, I think is the unique part there.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. I'd love to, as they get older, we're all training, running, lifting, having fun.
What traits do you hope they pick up from you? Like, do you want them to have that ruthless mindset the same? Ruthless maybe wrong word, but like, what if you could sort of fast forward, 10, 15 years, what traits would you like them to have taken from you?
The passion for what they're doing, or whatever that is, enjoying what they're doing, or enjoying working hard at something that they want to get something out of or be good at. They're probably the main one. The purpose. No matter what it is, but you really you want to be. You want to be good at something, great at something, not just doing something to get through it. Discipline, good habits. Discipline and good habits. Discipline to do what's required to be good at something, and habits around being a good human, really. Doing the right thing.
I love it. It's often I think about this lots because I lack this, like people waiting for motivation to do something, and motivation is just discipline. Like you've got to build that. It's an action thing, isn't it? And it is. I still haven't worked it out at 40, but I think I wasn't in here. But obviously, I've known Em for a long time as well. Your wife, and she, I think, is the absolute just perfect match because she's an incredibly strong, capable person as well. And I do think it's like that. We're coming to the end of the games being played at Apollo Stadium, and there was a whole lot of photos this week, and I was thinking that seems like not long ago, but it's a long time ago. And she's been with you right along this journey, really. Like it's been a long time. What kinds of things as a support person has she offered or provided in this later part of your life that you're kind of grateful for?
Shit heaps. Well, the most recent one, I don't know if you know, but been through a little battle recently with cancer, testicular, and shit, if it wasn't for her, I'd probably, because it was one of those things, typical male, you see the signs and just ignore it. And no, lucky she picked that up, but she's always been that kind of person with me or the kids. She'll pick things up early. She'll know when something's serious or not. So that would be the most recent one. Overall, a really good balance to me because, like I said, incredibly focused on myself and performing, and she's that other side where more of a social person, comes from a great family who, they all celebrate the small moments with each other. They're the type of family that'll take their shirt off their back for anyone to help. So, and amazing with the kids. Really strong woman to the boys. Sometimes sometimes I feel sorry with the boys. She's so tough with them, but I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does.
But,
she's a brilliant human being, and I think it is. I think you saying before that you've come across the right people at the right time. I think that's just another layer of that, and she's great.
I was going to say real quick, like, how good is it having a family? Because I feel really lucky to have like Laura and her family in my world too. Like, when you've got a partner. Because I've heard a lot about the Vicelli family and just how awesome they are from lots of different people actually, but it's just so good to know that your partner, the person you care about more than anyone in the world, who's got your back more than anyone, have got people in behind them, it's really nice to know when you've got, I think we've talked about this a little bit, how lucky we are to have our partners' families sort of there, for them and ultimately for us too.
It was wicked, even with going through the stuff recently, they have the kids over to stay, cooking meals, all that stuff you take for granted, until you really need it. Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you out the other side of it?
No, all good. Yeah. The cancer I have it's very treatable. It's like a 96% cure rate. Yeah. So the treatment I went through did its job. Now on a monitoring program where you get bloods every three to 6 months. But all really positive. All really positive. But there's a
mortality, isn't it? Like all of a sudden, I haven't had it personally, but in the family, and sort of like
it hits you square in the between the eyes. When you facing the potential outcome of not being there. I suppose I don't think that part's the worst of it. It's more around your family and what would be if you weren't there. But it was it was 3 months of, when I first originally got it, I'll go back. I'll tell the story properly because I had the signs there early, but like I said, I ignored it. And, the reason why I bring it up, because you read so many stories of people that have signs of something brewing in their body, and it's so easy to ignore, until it's too late. Yeah. I'm lucky with the cancer I had that even if I ignored it, it's still very treatable. Like a Lance Armstrong, similar to him. Yeah. I think his testicles grew to the size like a fucking grapefruit. Really? Had it in his brain, spread everywhere, but the similar sort of chemotherapy.
Wow.
And still really good results.
Yeah.
But man, if it's something else, I remember laying there at night and I could feel something was off. But, I'm training well, I feel good, so I'll just ignore it. Yeah. And that was probably a good 3 months,
Yeah, wow.
But even then, I still caught it early. But man, I just think, fuck, if it was something else, like how stupid is that to ignore something, you know, and then you're potentially not there for your family.
Yeah.
You know, so if there's
It's a great message.
There's one thing I get across, if you feel something's off, you know, because I think, like I intrinsically knew, but I actively chose to be like, no, it's all good. I'm fucking lifting the house down. I feel strong.
What was the turning point? Was there a moment when you're like...
Yeah, I just knew, and I subconsciously, I jokingly said to him, fuck, this is, man, something's off down here. And she was like, she was like, mate, she made a doctor's appointment straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so got onto it and had it removed. And then a few months later, it came back, so I had to go through the chemotherapy. But, yeah.
That's huge. But also,
thanks for sharing.
That is a massively important message to get across, because you're so right. I think people, sort of head in the sand a little bit is often, again, an easier option sometimes, but that's a fantastic message.
Well, but even then, like, a message is easy. You know, it's actually, because you've heard that message before. You heard that message before you had it, but it didn't do anything, you know? And so it's like, it's personal accountability to look at yourself honestly in the mirror and be like, why are you here? Like, what's your role here as a man, as a father, or as anyone, obviously, but it's like your health and looking after yourself is giving to your family. And so if there's anything off anywhere at any stage, like you've got to be disciplined enough.
That's the way I felt. I got to the end and I was like, fuck, that was so selfish, you know, to ignore it. You know, and it's for what, you know, to be a little bit embarrassed where the doctor might say, hey, that's nothing. What does that matter?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what's funny though?
Exactly.
Like you mentioning that to Em and her making a doctor's appointment straight away, I could guarantee if the roles are reversed, like if Em said to you something's a bit off here, you'd be the same. And it's funny how we jump into action for other people a lot faster than we do for ourselves. And you're right. I don't know what that is about humans. And often I think it's the actual fear of it might be nothing or it might be something. And then it's another whole wave. But I'm conscious of this all the time. Like I'm almost 40 and, you know, friends, this sort of stuff seems to just be popping up more and more frequently. And I constantly think to myself, jeepers, you know, you postpone these appointments, getting text messages from the doctor, not doing this. And then I'm like, why? I don't. It's a really odd part of human nature, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, well, I can only speak from my perspective and what I've seen with other guys, but like it feels like a real sign of weakness. That's what for me. I mean, I've had something small, and Laura's like made me go to the doctor, and I've like nah, and finally she's like made me go, and I was like, why the hell was I? What are you doing, mate? Like, what are you doing? You know, but it's like it's this sort of. I think probably similar. It's like any type of sign of weakness or sign of like that you can't figure something out yourself. It's so silly. It's so silly, but it's crazy.
We always say that like a healthy man wants 1,000 things, and an unhealthy man only wants one thing.
That's right.
It's such a poignant thing, and if nothing else, this is a good reminder for everyone listening to. I always talk about there's a place in Christchurch called Men's Medical, and they do like an annual check. It's like 3 hours, and everything. It's a very you can do it once a year, and it's such a good thing.
Great idea.
Like a Warren of Fitness.
Yeah.
I actually have told people that you do that. I was so impressed because they offer similar things in England, and that fact that you diligently do that each year, I think, is so good.
Yeah, and it's not for your family.
But we wrote like not to the same degree that you do, but like I've always written down goals and stuff, and as we got older, I realised that the most important goal for our family was a happy, healthy, strong family. And I used to write it down all the time, but then I never really so what does that actually mean? And so like, you know, healthy and strong, if that's really important to us, it means if something, you know, what are you actually doing to make sure that does happen? It's like, well, I exercise and train and we do these things, but you know, and I'd had a niggly shoulder for ages, and it was just a shoulder, but I was like, well, like if that's important to us, like what do you actually, you know, you kind of actually got to turn that into
actions.
And I think obviously I'm sure there's places like Men's Medical all over the place for a number of different people, but thanks for sharing that. Like, and I know that it'll help a lot of people, and I think you know, just when you talk about Em, like I think a lot of people that have been really successful have someone like that in their corner. Like I think for you to go all in on something, like there is an element, at least from my perspective, you need to know that someone's at home and has got your back regardless of what happens outside. You know, like when you've got kids as well, you know, like you talked about your career being focused on you. It's like I know how important that was, but I also know family is hugely important, you know, and knowing that someone's got your back. And, you know, we talk about if you can't be a 10 out of 10 today, it's like, well, I can be a 6. Like you need someone who's like, I've got you 4 today. You know, I can top you back up. And I just think that it's such an important element for anyone regardless. But if you're trying to do something special, I think having someone in your corner who's got your back is really critical.
Love that.
That's good, yeah. And she's got her own career now, you know, she's doing really well with hospitality, her family and that, restaurants and bars, and she's doing really well in her own career, so it's nice to be on the flip side and be in that other supporting role. And when I'm back from Japan, being the stay-at-home dad, which is something I really love, so yeah, it's good.
So good.
What's next?
No, I'm enjoying the role with Japan, the coaching there. That's going through to the World Cup. It's a really good challenge, trying to elevate that group and take them to the next level. So that's in the near future. It's a totally new game to me. You know, as you know, being a professional rugby player for most of my life, and now being on the coaching side of the things, just learning so much. Under Eddie Jones, awesome mentor and coach, so just keeping my ears and eyes open and learning as much as I can and trying to do the best I can for that group. Yeah.
Do you see coaching as an avenue you'd like to continue pursuing?
In the role I am now, yeah, for sure. I'm not sure where, like I do, to be honest, I don't want to be like a career coach bouncing around different countries and teams, but for where I am now, it's the perfect role. Yeah, Japan's not too far really, an overnight flight. I spend half the year back here, looking after the boys and being with the family, and the other half, traveling with them. So it's a good balance at the moment.
One question I sort of wanted to ask is, because like you get one crack at life, you get one crack to do things, and so you've pushed performance in what you've done. You've eked out every single area of performance, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. But I guess the other side of it as well is like we want to enjoy what we do. Really, I'm sure you want to enjoy the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years of your life as well. And so, like, I know a lot of people from the outside looking in at you and your career. It's like, did he really enjoy it? Because he was so focused on every 1% all the time. Yeah. It's like, was he able to enjoy it? So that's the first question. And then secondly, like, how do you make sure that you enjoy life or continue to enjoy life from here forward? Like, what have you learned?
Yeah. Oh, no, I loved it. Yeah. I can see how you might think that way, the process and the focus, but for me that actually gave me a lot of freedom, freedom to enjoy the game. My mind was clear, and the personality I am, I felt clearer and happier when things are organised and things are in the right order. My mind can be focused on each thing that I'm doing. I haven't got other things pulling at me. That's why I'm so diligent in getting things my ducks in a row, I suppose. Oh, but no, I loved it. I look back, it's hard in the moment when you're just going through it. But when I look back, I get tingles down the spine and almost get quite emotional if I watch an old game. I was like, fuck, that was awesome, all those different experiences and, playing with the people that I did, I think when you're in, I don't know what to say, normal life, you realise how, when you get to work with people who turn up trying to be the best that they can for the most part every day, it's pretty unique. Everyone's got a good attitude. Everyone's trying to better themselves. You're physically trying to get better, it doesn't get much better, I think. Yeah. And I still do that today. Man, I train harder than ever. Every morning training, and because I love that, I enjoy it. The next phase of my life, Yeah, like I said before, I'm enjoying being more of a, not everything's focused on me and performance, and enjoying family life more, putting everything I can into the kids to help them, whatever they want to do. Better home life, really, because not everything's centered around the Saturday, and what it's like, you get edgy a day or two before the game and you're kind of not really yourself in a sense. But no, yeah, that's it really, yeah.
I love it, and because I felt like that was going to be the answer, because enjoyment, it's like a enjoyment from what I see with you is it came from like a real deeper place of like understanding what you really wanted and having a real purposeful way of living, and the small little sacrifices like of not having a beer, like it's just it seems so insignificant
real,
when you've got like this deeper purpose and this deeper, like the enjoyment's coming from a completely different level. And I think that's another message I think that has to stick for people. It's like understand what you really want and get your life living in line to that, and don't compromise on that. There's always little things that could pull you off in different directions, but understand what you really want, because that's a deeper level of enjoyment when you're pursuing something really meaningful. Yeah.
I want to finish off by, I want you to imagine something for a moment. I want you to imagine that you go back to Christchurch Boys High. You walk onto the main field, you turn around and glance backwards towards the big room. You see a young boy sitting by himself. He's got a chili bin sitting next to him. He's eating Akaroa salmon and rice. You immediately know exactly who this young lad is, because it's you. It's you at 14 years old. You walk over to say hello, but he stands to leave. You ask him to stay just for a minute. He's in a rush, but he agrees. You sit next to him, knowing you've only got a moment. What would you say to him? What does that kid need to hear right now to give him the best chance at thriving on and off the field?
Keep eating that salmon, it'll pay off. I'll probably say nothing to him. Probably push him over and probably give him a bit more extra edge to last a bit longer, maybe.
I actually love it, and it really, really, really did. How good is Akaroa salmon, also, by the way?
Also, so
because your mum worked there, eh?
Yeah, mum worked there. It was outstanding. Yeah, great place to work.
Yeah, that was a helpful alignment.
Lunch every day, and I haven't given my mum enough credit. Amazing as well. You see the amount I eat, plus my brother. Unbelievable. It's great support. Yeah.
Even just the grocery bill, it's probably lucky even though you think two lads, the amount you're taking a chili bin to school each day for lunch.
Yeah.
It's an absolute commitment. Yeah. That's the thing, like reflecting on childhood and just being parents now, all of us, it is a massive graft, parenting, especially when you know how deeply they would have cared for us all.
Yeah.
So it is. Big kudos to your mum and your dad. I just really want to meet your dad now.
All jokes aside, though, like if you saw yourself, is there anything you'd say to yourself? Like, because if it's nothing, I reckon that's amazing. You know what I mean? If it's because maybe it is. Because like knowing what he's going to go through, what he's going to experience, what he's going to need, what he's going to love, like is there something? Because I think it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, no, it'd probably just be a pat on the shoulder and hey, just keep doing what you're doing, because when you're going through that, there's always that self-doubt and that pressure of, shit, is it really worth it, or am I going to get to where I want to? But, if I was to say, hey, you're going to get what you want, then would you then slip off on the training? So it probably would just be, hey, you're doing well, keep training hard, it'll pay off.
I love that so much, because it comes, like what that tells me as well is like you can look back at your career and be really proud of what you've done, you look back, and because a lot of people that would think about that as like, it can get quite emotional, get really like, don't worry too much about this, or focus more on that, or like you need to enjoy this more, you need to do that differently. It's really like, just back, you're doing a good job.
Do you know what it tells me as well?
It tells me that's awesome.
Yeah, as the messaging that you were receiving at 14 was freaking spot on.
Yeah.
Because I think like most people look back at that and they are aware of the things that were missing. Whereas like that is a huge testament to your support network, your parents, your family, your brother. That's that you were getting the right messaging. And that's unique. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty lucky.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, like just from my perspective, as I said at the beginning, like I find myself speaking about you a lot, genuinely, like in different circles. So it's just a real privilege to have you in here, like and you know to catch up properly as well.
Yeah.
I've been a massive admirer for a long time. Obviously, got to play alongside you, but as a man, as a person, as I say, you're the person I think of you often. The way that you would approach something, and it's definitely you've changed the way I've sort of approached living in lots of different ways. So I think you must have had a lot of impact on lots of other people too. So yeah, I don't want to pump your tires up too much, and it's not about a big Owen show or anything like that. But I genuinely mean it, mate. You've done some incredible stuff.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, best part's been catching up with you. No, it's been wicked to see what you guys are doing with the O Studio as well. I think I remember you showing me plans. Was that in 2017?
Yeah, that would be right. Yeah.
Sort of see it come to fruition. That's awesome. And obviously way back when you started with the Float Studio. But look at your career. You were much the same. Training hard, professional from a young age. So, not everyone's career takes the same path, but in terms of the effort and what you put into it, I don't know if you could have done much more. And
I love
enjoyed the journey alongside you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good man. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the O Studio podcast. If you enjoyed it, please hit the follow button wherever you're listening and connect with us on social media at O Studio Global. Our purpose at O Studio is to make recovery and well-being as accepted, as understood, and as practiced as physical fitness. To achieve this, we're building premium wellness hubs around New Zealand where communities come together to sauna, ice bath, float, recover, and so much more, all in beautiful spaces designed for everyday people. Check out ostudio.co.nz to find a studio near you, or explore how you could bring an O Studio to your community. Own the moment.